Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hamburg. In some ways, the hottest place to be in Europe at the moment, but not anymore today. So we're very happy that the weather has given us a little bit of a respite. This is the opening press conference, and I'm very pleased and proud to be together on the podium with my dear colleagues that I will introduce in a moment. My name is Achim Steiner. I'm the chair of the Hamburg Sustainability Conference, and very happy to see you all here. But, and this is the backdrop of the conference, you all know we meet at a very difficult moment. A difficult moment for the world, a difficult moment for citizens, a difficult moment for many countries, whether they're facing climate conflicts, crisis. It is a challenging time. And the answer in the minds of some is polarization, more fragmentation. Hamburg is the antidote. We do not believe that more polarization, more fragmentation makes us either safer, more resilient, or better off. It makes us weaker. The response this year to the third Hamburg Sustainability Conference has been tremendous. Once again, over 1,600 participants from 115 countries, many ministers, high-level representatives, leaders of international organizations, C-level executives in the hundreds also attending, young people, leaders from civil society, scientists. We are all gathered here out of the conviction that the future is something that requires us to cooperate. The question is how, and this is what makes Hamburg also a very ambitious undertaking. Not only is its original initiating partnership an extraordinary one, but in fact, the commitment to action, to alliances, to building not just conversations and dialogue, which are important. To need to talk to each other is self-evident. To be able to do so when many tell you you have nothing left in common is even more challenging. But we are about moving from conversation to cooperation, from cooperation to implementation. And this year we will see also, and Minister, I'm sure you will speak to that also, the launch of a new commission, the North-South Commission. We will see scaled an initiative that began in the previous Hamburg Sustainability Conference, moving to the next chapter. We are seeing many different topics being curated around the idea that we have a great deal to do. We live in an extraordinary period of opportunity. I also want to end my brief opening remarks simply by saying we began yesterday also the Hamburg Sustainability Week. Together in the Katharinen Church, we saw an extraordinary coming together of the citizens of Hamburg, of artists, of leaders in the international community. One of the great things about the Hamburg Sustainability Conference is that it is not only what happens inside this conference hall, it is what the citizens of Hamburg have embraced and turned into over 250 events during this week, organized by them for themselves, because ultimately what we are discussing here begins in our schools, in our communities, in our town halls. Thank you to the people of Hamburg, to all those who are also part of that, as is also the Future of Economy Day, which follows this conference. Again, the Hamburg Sustainability Conference is very proud that in that spirit of cooperation and creation, we are seeing a lot of businesses stepping up. Now, let me hand over to my left to Her Excellency Reem Alabali Radovan, the Federal Minister for Economic Cooperation and Development. Minister, the floor is yours. And I was just reminding the Minister that we came together last year, just a few days after you had been appointed. It's fantastic to see you here again, and congratulations on an extraordinary year of leading BMZ, but also the development agenda through challenging times. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The world is going through unsettled times, and retreating behind national borders is not an option. You could try to close your eyes to global crises and conflicts, but you will feel the impact anyway. The fallout from the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz has shown it very clearly. Rising prices for energy, fertilizer, and food are hitting people across the world. Millions are at risk of hunger. Global crises affect us all in the global south and in the global north, also here in Europe. At the same time, international cooperation is coming under pressure. The rules-based international order is being called into question. Autocracies and nationalistic tendencies are gaining ground. Many traditional fora are blocked just as we need them the most. And so for me, it's quite clear The answer has to be more cooperation, not less. Together is the only way, and we need to tackle those crises together. War and conflict are man-made. So is peace. Peace is not some naive hope. It is the result of hard political work. Security is not only achieved by weapons. Security grows when people can see a future for themselves, when states function and conflicts are not allowed to escalate. The problem with development policy is that it often goes unnoticed. It's not always plain to see what crises have been prevented, but it's very easy to see what happens when international partners withdraw. When harvests fail, it is not just a humanitarian disaster. It destabilizes entire region, forces people to flee, aggravates conflicts, and threatens our economy, economic security, and trading partnerships too. In this closely interconnected world, we are all dependent on each other. So, international cooperation is not a nice to have, it is a vital necessity for security, for the economy, and for development. And that is why we need spaces like this here at the Hamburg Sustainability Conference. The people who come here together know the value of cooperation and are willing to take action. Leading minds from the global south and the global north, from politics, the private sector, academia, and civil society come here together. And we are united in the belief that sustainability, justice, and economic success need to go together, and that we need a rules-based multilateral order if we are to effectively tackle those global challenges. We want to forge global partnerships and put in place real-life solutions. In just 3 years, the Hamburg Sustainability Conference has established itself as a laboratory for solutions. It has produced alliances, new projects we just heard about, scaled, which will go the next step today, and inspiration, reaching far beyond Hamburg. Tomorrow, and I'm very excited about that, we will launch the North-South Commission on Development convened by the German government. It will develop new forms of cooperation in a multipolar world, and it reflects Germany's drive to intensify our relationships with the global south. Over 1,600 people from over 110 countries are assembled here in Hamburg. So as the countries of the world together gather together for the Soccer World Cup, we have our own gathering of the world here in Hamburg. That diversity is our biggest strength. The spirit of the conference is clear. We are not here to talk about each other, but to find solutions together. My message is clear. By investing together today in peace, justice, and sustainability, we can secure prosperity, stability, and opportunities for a better future worldwide. That is why we are here together in Hamburg, and I'm very looking forward for the next 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. Let me turn straight away to Alexander de Croo, the Administrator of the United Nations Development Programme. Alex, welcome.
Thank you, dear Achim. It's great to be here in the city of Hamburg. This Hamburg Sustainability Conference is taking place at a redefining moment. The classic model for development is not adapted anymore to the world of today, but still we are more interconnected than ever. If you want to have prosperity, if you want to have security, if you want to have influence, investing in development is still the best way of obtaining them. Now, we do this at a difficult moment. Achim, and in your introduction, you talked about the different crises that you have in the world. War in the Gulf region is one which has had a tremendous impact, a very negative impact on development. We are now at a moment where maybe the end of hostilities is there, or at least is in the works. But the rippling effect of this war throughout the development world are very, very tangible. There was a risk that more than 40 million people would be pushed back into poverty. This is part of an analysis that UNDP has done on the military escalation in the Middle East and how the global shock has been cushioned. We have seen that many countries have actually taken measures to dampen the impact on, for example, prosperity. But this has come at a great cost. We have seen that over the past months, the subsidies for fossil fuels have exploded. They have increased with more than 400 billion. They are now 1.1 trillion US dollars. This comes at a cost. Basically, it means that countries that have not asked for this war, that are not part of this war, see their potential for future growth being absorbed by that. Because if fossil fuel subsidies have ballooned, there's only a few reasons how you do that. Or the debt levels has increased, and the debt levels already are quite high, or it has been taken away from other domains. Spending in healthcare, spending in education, spending in future economic growth. That is why the way forward, and we've done the analysis of what is happening, we've also looked at what is the way forward. For us, there is 4 fronts on which we need to work. First of all, help countries to reestablish their fiscal space. Help them in better financing their development, help them in broadening the sources of financing. We have seen that overseas development assistance has decreased sharply, but development is not only based on public spending. There's other sources of spending which are part of that, and public spending needs to be used in the most catalytic way that is possible. Second element is we need to continue investing in accelerating renewable energy. Renewable energy is cheaper than fossil fuel, and it is less volatile, and it is less dependent on certain choke points in the world. Energy security and energy transition are intimately linked one with another. Third element is to connect capital, technology, and delivery. Technology is a big accelerator for development. As UNDP, we've always integrated development as much as possible. And today, we see that a big part of the projects that we do, for example, integrate artificial intelligence because it helps us to better bridge some of the gaps that we have. Fourth element is we need to continue believing in multilateralism. I know that multilateralism is under pressure, that we are being tested. And I think as a multilateral organization, we have no problem being tested. But my message is a clear one. For the big endeavors that we have in the world, there is no country that can say, I will be better off on my own. Fighting climate change, managing migration, fighting illegal drug trade, fighting violent extremism. There is no country that can say, I will do this on my own and I will do it better on my own. Development is hard power. I know that very often we would say, well, military spending is hard power and development is soft power. Development is part of that hard power. It is a way in which you avoid conflicts. Countries that are growing, that are inclusive, have less propensity for developing conflicts. And when you have a conflict, the danger does not stop when the guns stop. The danger stops when a country is stabilized, when countries come back, when the minds are being cleared, when a country is being reconstructed. And I think the gigantic work we do in Ukraine is a good example. And when just peace comes in Ukraine, people often say you always need to prepare for war. We understand that. I think now we also need to prepare for peace. When peace comes, we need to be ready to stabilize and to reconstruct the country. And then maybe just to finalize, an event like Hamburg, I think is a great one and is a very valuable one because it brings people together from different fields, people who often do not immediately talk to each other every day. And I think it's great to listen to each other and to understand where we have capacity to act. I think at a moment like this, we need to continue to believe in progress. We need to continue to convene, and we need to act. And this is, to us, what the Hamburg Sustainability Conference is
Alex, thank you so much, and also for taking us through that larger lens of security and defense, and yet hard and soft power, as you described it. Going straight to Katharina Fegebank, second mayor of the free and Hanseatic city of Hamburg. Second mayor, the floor is yours, and thank you once again for having opened not only the city gates to us, but also the city hall. It's fantastic to be here. Please.
Thank you so much, and a very warm welcome to all of you. It's great to have you here as the local host, so to say, and one of the initiators. A very, very, very warm welcome to the Hamburg Sustainability Conference and all the guests from all over the world for the third time here. And I think it's a perfect place from coming to talking into action, really, in times where international relations are having pretty tough times, as we just heard. And over the next 2 days, and Hamburg is considered to be the gateway to the world, at the very heart of our city's political and economic life, the town hall, and of course here the Chamber of Commerce, we will open the doors to foster new alliances and spark creative ideas in pursuit of the Sustainable Development Goals. And I think it's so important to reminding ourselves of the old sustainability motto, think globally and act locally. And for Hamburg, the 17 goals are not just abstract ambitions, but a daily responsibility that guides our actions across all fields, from urban planning and mobility to social engagement and climate action. And of course, cities like Hamburg, they play a double or dual role. They are where the great challenges of our time converge, but also where we can develop and test solutions together. In Hamburg, we are committed to concrete projects and strong partnerships. And with our sustainability strategy in progress, we demonstrate how far our city has already come in achieving the SDGs and where we must intensify our efforts. Already now, our work is having an impact as more and more departments and ministries are aligning their activities to the SDGs and increasingly thinking beyond traditional silos, which also as a key message of the Hamburg Sustainability Conference. And that brings me, allow me that to two of my personal Hamburg Sustainability Conference highlights: our training partnership with the island of St. Kitts and Nevis. The HSC brought us together last year, and now this is bearing fruit. These are truly lived global alliances where we work together and really the same eyesight are learning from each other. Another highlight is the session on Hamburg's AI tool. It's called Hans, which is a male first name in Germany, the Hamburg Analysis Tool for Sustainability. And this innovative tool analyzes huge amounts of data to provide clear overviews for all 70 SDGs and our almost 170 targets, showing both our measures and our goals. So you see, it's getting really, really concrete. It's not just coming together, forming alliances, but really showing what the benefit for the people is. So we're very proud that Hamburg is establishing itself as the venue for this conference. And for me, this is both a motivation and a commitment to keep driving sustainable development forward. And as the city, we also do so by inviting Hamburg citizens and civil society to the public event during the Hamburg Sustainability Conference. So embedded is the Hamburg Sustainability Week. While global alliances are being forged at the Hamburg Sustainability Conference, we are also bringing sustainability to where it is truly come to life, onto Hamburg streets and public places. And maybe this could be an example for the future. This Hamburg Sustainability Week addresses Hamburg citizens and stakeholders, so business, science, and public society. Engaging directly with people is absolutely essential. The major UN sustainability goals may seem very distant in everyday life until dedicated individuals bring them to life through their actions. And one highlight of the week, which you will probably see when you go outside, it's the Future Garden outside the Town Hall Square, which is open for everybody, also for all conference guests. Different stakeholders of Hamburg present their work in an interactive actions, and visitors will experience sustainability in a very concrete way. I'm convinced that by pooling our knowledge and ideas during these 2 days, we can achieve greater things together for Hamburg, for other cities and countries, and for a truly sustainable future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Second Mayor, and also for putting emphasis again on how much, yes, we are inside halls here, but this conference actually has very porous halls also, and literally every citizen can follow events inside the conference halls, which can only take a certain number of people live on the town square. A great new innovation. Now, let me turn, and by no means last is not least, to Michael Otto, Honorary Chairman of the Supervisory Board of the Otto Group. Michael Otto, not only as a lifelong entrepreneur, as a lifelong philanthropist, but also as one of the co-curators of the idea of the Hamburg Sustainability Conference. You have the last word, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, the Hamburg Sustainability Conference is a place for action. Here, people from the worlds of politics, business, academia, and civil society come together to develop solutions to the major challenges of our time and, above all, to drive their implementation forward. The HSC provides a platform to highlight successful approaches to sustainable development, climate and nature conservation, and the transition to a circular economy. It creates opportunities to mobilize international support for effective solutions, forge new partnerships, and strengthen existing alliances. And it fosters dialogue from which new ideas emerge and can find the allies they need to become a reality. In the last 2 Hamburg Sustainability Conferences, 26 alliances had been founded and further will follow this conference. Especially in the light of the profound geopolitical and economic changes, decisive action is more important than ever. Europe and Germany possess outstanding ideas, technologies, expertise, and innovative companies. However, it will be crucial to translate these strengths more quickly and consistently into successful business models and scalable solutions. Only in this way we can hold our own in global competition while simultaneously shaping the transition to an economic model that respects the planet's carrying capacity. In doing so, we should not only recognize the entrepreneurial dynamics of many countries in sub-Saharan Africa and other regions of the world, but also view it as a source of inspiration and an opportunity for new forms of cooperation. Reliable political framework conditions remain equally important. They are the prerequisite for sustainable development to move from aspiration to reality and for innovation to have the necessary impact. There are certainly reasons for optimism. We are seeing significant progress worldwide, particularly in the expansion of renewable energy. Yet the pace of change must continue to accelerate. The challenges are immense, and they require us to have the courage to prepare the next decisive steps together. So I wish us all inspiring encounters, new perspectives, and concrete ideas. May Hamburg Sustainability Conference 2026 help us tackle our tasks with renewed confidence, fresh energy, and strengthen creative power. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael Otto. We will now move quickly to some questions that I hear from the audience. Please keep them brief. Briefly introduce yourself, which medium you're on. Microphones, colleagues, we have in the room. Yes, on the right here at the front. Then I think I saw a hand over here. Bom dia. I see Brazil is here, so we are also going to talk about the World Cup in a moment, but first the questions, yes.
It's Neil Kamal from the Times of India. Actually, going by the geopolitical developments, mainly the conflicts where uncertainties did large on the front of food and displacements,
Sorry,
endangering
could you hold the
environment.
microphone a bit closer? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, endangering the environment. It is enthusing to have a North-South Commission on Development, especially for the Global South. But there are already many commissions and groups. Why the need arose for such a platform and how this will be different from the already in the reckoning?
Thank you. Minister, I think that one's definitely for you.
Yes, thank you. So it will be a North-South Commission on Development. So the Commission will concentrate on tackling and finding solutions and ideas for the global the challenges that we are facing. So combating hunger and poverty, but also working on issues like debt and finance, development for finance. The commission will have 20 people in the commission, mostly from the global south. We will launch it tomorrow with the former Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz, and the former President of Costa Rica, Laura Chinchilla. So the co-commissioners are already one part global south and one part global north. And tomorrow they will share the first ideas with us. But also it is a commission from the German government or established by the German government, even though it will work independently. But it clearly shows our will to intensify our relationships with the global south. And it will work together. It will, of course, work together with every other platforms that are there that are interested in sharing views.
Thank you. Did I see another hand here? If I maybe can just say also a word to you as journalists and media representatives here at Hamburg. We also have a group of youth ambassadors. We are very proud of that. The HSC has invested over the past years in bringing young people into the HSC process, onto the stages, into the curation of the events. They are here, and if you're interested in our colleagues from the HSC organizing team can put you in touch. They are not here to be sitting on the sidelines. They are here to be heard, to be spoken to, and I hope also to be interviewed. So please, if you are looking for some voices, there is obviously the distinguished panel that you see on my left here, but behind them and in front of us, increasingly also a group of young people. Any more questions? Yes, please. Microphone over here. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Clara Diederich from Politico. I have a quick question on the time frame for the North-South Commission. Is there a certain date when they should come to a paper or something like that?
So we will start tomorrow with the official launch, and then we're looking for, there is not a concrete date yet, but 2 years.
Is there any finances to the global south, the poor countries who have been suffering from the conflicts and from the environmental disgrace? Because they have been assured finances through the co-ops as well as from other institutions, but they're not getting the sufficient funds just to overcome from this crisis which they are facing about.
So the question, but it's not about the North-South Commission.
It's about that only.
Oh, so the North-South Commission is a commission for finding solutions, but it's not. There's no finance behind it for the states. But of course, as German government, we are tackling the current challenges. We are working together with UNDP, with other UN organizations, but also in our bilateral portfolio, and we will address the challenges. Especially when it comes to the effects of the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, and when it comes to hunger, fertilizer, and so on. We will have events on that today and tomorrow. Also, Amina Mohamed will join us today, and we will discuss that in a panel.
Maybe Alex, since the minister just referred to the Deputy Secretary General's presence, we have the President of the Federal Republic of Germany joining us for the opening also. We have a lot of representatives from the international organizations, the development banks here. Do you want to just perhaps 60 seconds, what's happening to the international system in the midst of all of this? What do you see having now taken the reins of one of the most important agencies in the international community?
Isn't it right? Because I took it over from you, Achim. But no, I think
No
that's a
comments
very,
on predecessors.
very relevant, relevant question. I think that, as I said in my introduction, in the world of today, yes, there is countries who tend to be critical and look at multilateralism with a critical eye, which I think is totally fair. I think any international organization every day needs to prove the value that it delivers. But if you look at the development pillar, this is why we are here, and what it has been achieved over the past decades. We have a tendency as humans to always focus on what's not working, and I'm okay with that. But maybe let's use those 60 seconds for what did work. Extreme poverty over the past 25 years has been halved. Child mortality, children dying under the age of 5, the last 20 years also has been halved. Scholarity has exploded. Connectivity, never seen. I mean, humanity has never, ever done this. Now, is this all thanks to multilateralism and thanks to development? No. This is a combination. This is a combination of the strengthening of governance and of democracy, more trade, more investment, more local private sector that has developed, and often multilateral organization that created the framework for that. And I think in testing times, I have absolutely no problem that we have to stand on the top of our toes. But also, give me another model. If multilateralism and working together is criticized, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? And what is a better way of delivering on sustainable results? For the moment, I don't see it, but please prove me wrong.
Well, I think it is perhaps one reason why so many of our colleagues have actually come to Hamburg, because that conversation has to happen not behind closed doors, but in the public domain. Daniela Chiaretti, Valore Economico Brazil, which bem-vindo. Microphone here at the front on the right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing this. And can we expect anything on the adaptation field, which is for climate change and in terms of cooperation, as we are seeing, so in Hamburg, 40 degrees almost, and we are expecting in the south a very strong El Nino. So what do you think about cooperation in adaptation? Is this a challenge? Thank you.
Let me turn, Minister, do you
Yes.
want to respond? And I'll look along our panel also to the other three.
So thank you for this important question. I mean, as it is a sustainability conference, combating climate change is at the core of this conference. We will have a lot of meetings, panels, but also concrete action on that. And one of the main pillars here in Hamburg is that we want to work together with a private sector to bring the private sector and the public sector together to combat this challenge. I don't think we can either one can do it alone. We need to combine all forces clearly, and this is why Hamburg is so. The sustainability conference is, in my point of view, of course, so effective because we are bringing concrete action with the private sector. So scaled is one very important initiative we have there to bringing private sector, private economy with public funding together to combat, for example, climate change.
We have different alliances. So, for example, we have the Green Shipping Alliance. There are harbor cities like Hamburg and Antwerp, but also Los Angeles, Yokohama, and other cities, and shipping companies like Hapag-Lloyd, like MSC. They're working together to finally the goal is to get the harbors climate neutral, and also the shipping get them climate neutral. And I think a lot of action has already been done, and a lot of tests are running at this time. So I think that's the way how we really support the implementation of activities, which is very important. And there are also some other alliances. That's the way how we act.
Let me just maybe quickly pick up on the last aspect. I just mentioned our training partnership with the island nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So we not only have the Hamburg Sustainability Conference, but also our Hamburg Sustainability Week. So we don't only want to discuss things on sustainability in an abstract way, but also make it very concrete. So form alliances and learn from each other. So it's really a learning experience to see how island states such as St. Kitts and Nevis are being threatened by climate change, and in how far cooperation can maybe mitigate the effects by training people here and then having a good cooperation with an island nation. And this is just one example. Adapting to climate change has to be done in the cities, has to be done in the respective regions worldwide. So maybe this is a very good example, combining a huge international, globally acting conference with very hands-on, very concrete addressing the civil society, companies, science, to come together and to work on solutions for tomorrow.
Alex, any last thoughts? I know I'm getting signals to stop, but please, a word on adaptation, clearly a critical question.
Critical question, but maybe in the spirit of Hamburg and of Hamburg Sustainability Week. It's not something that is up in the sky, that is theoretical. It's something that we can do. And to me, sustainability, it's a verb. It's in our daily lives, in the way we behave. It's in the way we do business. It's in the way we look at the rest of the world. And I think Mr. Otto yesterday said it really well in a meeting. This conference is, yes, we do talk, but it's about acting. And it's about how we get things going. On renewables and sustainability, I mean, the case has never been stronger than now. You need to be convinced why sustainability is important. I mean, walk outside and sweat, but also look at your energy bill. If you have solar panels, if you have invested in renewables, you will pay less. So it makes business sense. So it's good for your wallet, but it's also right from the perspective of your heart. It's the right thing to do.
On that note, thank you very much, first of all, to the panelists. Let me also say, as chair of the conference, thank you to the council that has shepherded the conference from year to year. And let me also say, yes, there are some who think that sustainability is not the topic on the top of people's minds. But, you know, the terminology is not what defines people's concerns. It's their health, it's their safety, it's their ability to do something. People are dying in these last few days because we have not adapted, because we have not dealt with climate change. But that's the negative balance sheet. On the other side, and this is what Hamburg is all about, sustainability is becoming the operating system of our economies, of our societies, of our international trade system. This is not a parallel universe. It is increasingly the center stage on which the future of development is being articulated. From a regulatory, political point of view, from an international cooperation point of view, but also very much on how businesses, innovation, technology, and you will see some of that in these halls and in these meetings this week, from just the renewable energy side all the way up to AI. This is the future. We can call it many different things. At the end of the day, people want to live. I know that we have lost people even in Hamburg due to the heat this week. Across Europe, thousands will have suffered because of not being ready for what is now happening. We can't let that go on with excuses. And we are, if you want, a singular voice in some respects of bringing together the full spectrum of capacities to act. And that is the spirit I hope you will sense the next 2 days. On that note, Minister, Administrator, Second Mayor, Honorary Chairman, thank you so much. Have a fantastic conference. Thank you.